Double DNF. Thank fuck it's not Monza. Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast.
Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Now here's a bald guy and some Indian.
How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm actually, interestingly, it's 12:30 a.m. right now and I'm not tired. And that's because I slept at 7 a.m. So
Yeah.
and that has something to do with it.
All
How are
right.
you?
I don't know, there was
How
a
was
lot
the race?
going on. It's good. Good first race back. So we actually had stuff happening.
Sorry.
Which was fun,
Yeah. So let's dive into it. Let's switch things around. Weird. Sorry. So let's dive into
Got
it.
an oil
Let's
leak or
first-
something.
I have no idea. What's leaking? I hope nothing's leaking. Yeah. Let's start with something different actually. What's your biggest takeaway from the Dutch Grand Prix?
Luck swings both ways, I guess. I know we'll talk about Norris, but
nice.
literally the momentum and luck has been going in Norris's favor lately. Like you could say that at the moment it's 34 points. We'll talk about the title fight properly in a bit, but realistically you could say that in many ways this is where the points kind of should have been anyway, because Piastri had bad luck, I think, with an unreasonable kind of weird decision at Silverstone, in my view. Hungary, like the strategy just went against him. There's been a few situations where the luck just hasn't gone Piastri's way, and he has been the better driver. And it's interesting in Formula One how quickly that luck can just swing the other way completely. Yeah, so what would have been at worst a 16-point deficit, at best a 2-point deficit, has now become 34 points, and all that in one race.
It's interesting because the entire weekend was first, I think it was Julian Palmer on F1 Nation's pod. He said that apparently Lando has been very lucky. I don't know how he made the whole calculation that the gap could have been around 60 points.
61,
I'm not
I think
sure
he said,
it could be that big.
I think he's taking into account Australia, for example, as well, where I don't really count that as luck because, yes,
That's being too generous as well.
yes, Oscar had like a worse off than Norris did, and they both kind of made a similar mistake. But also you could say that's partly down to skill, because Norris also was feeling out the track before Oscar, so the fact that Oscar went off worse is kind of on him as well. He should have seen where Norris was going and taken it easier. But yeah, I think it's there's certain ones where you're like, I don't know if that's luck or if that's just, I don't know if I'd add the points on from that, So
Yeah. That's what, 18, 16 point something. Yeah. I agree with you on that. But again, the whole thing, and I think even there was a point where I feel Palmer would have been feeling a bit guilty. He might have been, a bit of a commentator's curse kind of thing, because he brought it up, and then Lando also kind of mentioned it to him during the post quali thing, where Lando kind of got unlucky. A lot of people won't agree with that, but yeah, he got a bit unlucky when it came to
With the toe,
final
right?
lap.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
so
it
close.
happens. Honestly, that's just
It's so
0.012
close.
seconds.
Yeah, it's so close.
Yeah.
Any idiot who's on social media being like, "Oh, Norris fumbled that" or whatever, it's like, you're an idiot. That is so close. You can praise Oscar.
It's there
for
in the
being that
telemetry,
close.
by the way. Yeah, it's there in the telemetry. I had seen it. I'm yet to post it. It's Lando was ahead of Oscar in that particular segment. It was just in the last phase where Oscar kind of caught I think it was either Lawson or Hadjar, one of the two. He just caught a fleeting slipstream, and it just helped. And it helps.
Yeah,
there's
it's a
0.012
100th
seconds
of a
is,
Yeah.
that kind of gap is always on the table. It was obvious. Yeah. So yeah, we'll dig a bit deeper into the whole thing a bit later. In my view, the biggest takeaway was, thank God there's only one more race at Zandvoort. One Monaco is enough for me on the on the F1 calendar. The race kind of pissed me off because of that. I don't.
Oh, yeah.
The
I
thing is,
liked
they
it.
brought the softest possible compounds. Everything is there, but even then, if you cannot pull off overtakes, you need around what I think more than a second deficit is needed to pull off overtakes. If that kind of
Yeah.
thing is there, it's just not fun. It's irritating. It
Yeah,
became irritating after a point.
I mean, to be fair, I think they got lucky in this one that there was so much going on that it made up for some of the fact that, like,
Yeah.
if you did actually look throughout the field, there was a lot of just DRS trains, basically. Like,
Yeah.
like realistically, the fact that Hadjar did a brilliant job, but the fact that he held out is, it would have been way more
Yeah.
difficult at many other tracks. So,
Pretty
yeah.
much.
I like the
That's
track.
the
though.
thing.
It's old school,
Old school when the cars were smaller. The
Yeah.
cars are too big now.
Yeah.
They can't go wheel to wheel at any point. There's literally, and we'll get to the whole Leclerc George thing a bit later. But even that is a perfect example of you really have to get your elbows out if you want to pull off overtakes.
Yeah.
And even then
Do you
people
know?
mind.
Can I say something on that though as well? This is, I think
Go for it.
genuinely, like, we'll get into the Leclerc thing properly later, but I think also one of the problems with tracks like this, right, and one of the reasons I think they're not raceable anymore is because of fucking DRS, basically, and these over prescriptive regulations where if there's no DRS, as much as it's harder to overtake, the drivers are lunging, the drivers are trying strategy, the drivers are jumping on things. But we've just gotten to the point now where all of them just hold on for a DRS overtake or like a straight line overtake. None of them are willing to dive in. And then when they are willing to dive in, we've got over prescriptive regulations that penalize them for it, basically. I know they didn't in this case, but my point is, like, it just makes it so... It makes tracks like this pointless because everyone's just waiting for straight line, and then you've got DRS trains as well. So it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, let's see if they
The
can
problem
fix it. But
is we'll get into that a bit later because
Mm-hmm.
I personally think if we don't have DRS, we'll have very, very poor quality of racing. I remember
Sure,
2010
but I
and it
think-
was horrible.
Sure, but I think the problem was DRS was supposed to be like a patch to that DRS, to the 2010 problem. It wasn't supposed to be like an ultimate solution. And what they've done is basically made it so, oh, well, look, there's loads of overtakes in a straight line, so we don't need to fix the racing. And it's like, no, that was supposed to be a patch so you could fix the dirty air, fix the strategies. My daughter's very upset about DRS, as you
all
might
good.
hear in the background. But yeah, like, I just think this is one of those situations where the FIA put a patch in and then go, oh, look, the patch fixed it. It's like, well, it didn't really. It made one area where all the overtakes happen and then got rid of all the lunging overtakes. So we should have really
Good
fixed it
thing
so
we
you can
won't
do the
have
lunging
patch next
overtakes.
season.
Yeah, we'll probably have worse cars though, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. 400 kilometers per hour apparently Toto says.
Yeah,
Possible.
which is going to, if it's possible, it's going to make some spectacular fucking crashes though.
That's the concern. Yeah. Anyways, that's a different topic altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's get to the meat and bones of the thing. First of all, the star of the race weekend. Let's talk about Isack Hadjar because I think a superstar was born this weekend. How good he is compared to the rookies, I'll hold on to that for a moment. But your view on his entire weekend?
I think the qualifying was impressive, but he's been impressive in qualifying generally this year. Also, like I have to say, like the qualifying didn't impress me as much as the race because that car is very well balanced, very easy to push, which means that like you feel comfortable in it as a driver, so you're going to push it more, right? And that's not to take away from the incredible job Hadjar's done, but I think it's like I always say, it's like expectations versus reality, and the expectation is he's been good in qualifying, so that didn't impress me as much. His racecraft, though, I have to say, like it wasn't like he had, I don't know, Lance Stroll or Hamilton behind him, people who can't race anymore trying to overtake him. He had.
Wow.
He had Leclerc, he had Russell, he had like aggressive drivers behind him trying to push him for pretty much the entire race. And what I liked was not only was he able to defend when they kind of tried to go around the outside or up the inside, he also did the thing, or he didn't do the thing that so many rookies fall into. He didn't start defending free air. Like those drivers so often tried to pull out to kind of make him think, oh, they're going to lunge down the inside. And he could easily get caught out, see them in the mirrors, move to try and defend, and then they just sail around. He didn't do that. He was like, nope, you're not close enough. They pull out and he just didn't move. He just stuck to his guns. And the amount of defending he did was incredible. And the fact, like, for a rookie to get that position and hold it, I know Zandvoort's easy, like hard to overtake, but those drivers know how to overtake, and those drivers are willing to lunge it, as we literally saw from Leclerc and Russell. So, like, the fact that he held those guys off and didn't give them any opportunity, didn't make any mistakes, that's incredibly impressive for a rookie. And I think it shows, like, why he was so annoyed in F2 last year, I think, because he was capable of winning that championship. You know, he just got unlucky, I think. And yeah, just incredible. Unfortunately, this probably means he's going to get demoted to Red Bull Racing next year. We'll see.
You never know. You never know what happens.
But yeah, incredible.
Yeah, I think it's, again, for me, honestly, it just comes down. I'm probably more impressed by the qualifying lap because he not only out-qualified both Mercedes, both Ferraris, his teammate, the Williams, the Carlos Sainz, all of them. And you can say maybe all these cars were probably within a couple of tenths of each other. So the fact that he was the one who maximized the entire thing while others couldn't.
Incredibly impressive.
That's as a rookie. That too as a rookie. And I think we've seen to a certain extent that qualifying is something which is harder to get on top of. So that's where probably a lot of people would have concerns. But he doesn't. He's being nailed on. He doesn't make... Okay, to a certain extent, I liked the way he drove, but I won't go too much out of my way to praise his race day craft because I don't think overtakes were possible. I just don't think they were possible. The kind of track that it is, right? But even then, his pace was more or less there. He wasn't that much slower than Max Verstappen in a Red Bull, which is funny.
You got to think tire management as well.
Add
like
all
everything.
This up,
you know,
everything was perfect. And you know, the other thing is you could expect a rookie to make mistakes when it came to the clinch moments, right? The restarts, there were I think 3 safety car restarts we had, and he kind of nailed all of them. There wasn't any point where he was being iffy. He wasn't really having those lockups or anything. Smooth, everything online. You didn't see too many team radios where he was panicking. I think these are all elements of a driver who's at the very least solid. At the very least.
Yeah.
To add to this, he has the pace and the application seems to be there. In the first season, okay, just a trick question. For the Faenza squad, in terms of getting a podium, who was the last rookie to ever do this?
Rookie. Ooh. It's not going back to Seb, is it? It's
to a certain extent, yes, because Seb had 3 races with in 2007, 3 or 4 races.
He got a podium in 2007 anyway, or a couple, right?
No, he got 4th in 2007. He did 3 or 4 races. That's it. In 2008, which was essentially his first year.
Yeah, I guess if we count that as his rookie season. Rookie though. Is it?
Yeah.
Did Max get a podium in 2015? I don't think so, right?
No. Max got 2 P4 finishes, I think in Australia and in Hungary, if I'm not wrong.
So is it after 2016 or before?
This is the one. It's him and Vettel, that's it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay.
That is it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Gasly had a P4 in, I think his best result was a P4 in his rookie season. Albon didn't really have any such result. I think John-Eric Verne also had a P4, but none of them had a podium. So it's basically Seb. Then you had, I think Gasly had a couple of podiums later, but no one had anything. Literally no one had anything.
Yeah.
That's what he's achieved. And again, the car is good, but he beat drivers who had faster cars.
Yeah.
If you compile the entire weekend,
I just think
and there's
everything,
no other
like,
way
I don't
put
want to
it.
say the qualifying wasn't impressive. It was. I just mean I've gotten used to him doing well in qualifying. That's why the race for me was just more impressive. The qualifying is crazy this year as well because, like, the margins are so fine. Like, even I was looking at, like, a couple of the drivers who everyone's saying is doing poorly at the minute. And when you look at where they are, it's like in most seasons, they wouldn't be that far off their teammate. But because the season's so close, it's like a mountain between the two. Like, I think it was like Colapinto, as you know, he got knocked out in Q1 and Gasly went on to Q3. The difference between them in Q1 was 2/10. Like, it's just that, like, Gasly's in P8, Colapinto's knocked out in P16. There's a 2/10 difference between them. Tsunoda, likewise, terrible qualifying. Max in P3, there was 3/10 between them.
0.15.
At one point, there was 1.5.
Yeah, sorry, it was
but I think
0.15 for Kimi and George. No, 0.15
So, like,
was Kimi and George.
But it's insane that, like, you're talking like P4 or 5 to like P14 or 15 is like 3/10. So
Yeah.
you're talking like the finest margin, which, it does two things. One, it makes the drivers who are having a hard time look way worse than what they actually were. Because if, for example, if Tsunoda was within 3/10 of Max in 2023, he's finishing second every race. Like, to put that in perspective, right? Like, he literally is finishing second every single race. In 2025, it's getting knocked out in Q1 or Q2. Like, that's what's insane. So it makes drivers like Tsunoda, like Colapinto, like a lot of them that are having a hard time. They're not doing what they should be doing. I'm not saying they are, but it makes it look way worse than it is. But then on the flip side of that, the guys who are doing good like Hadjar, it's even more impressive because you're talking about the finest margin. And doing that once is impressive, but doing it every fucking weekend, which Hadjar is doing, is crazy impressive. So yes, it's impressive. I just think I've just gotten so used to it that I'm like, the race was more impressive this weekend. But yeah.
True. And just to add on to it before we move on to the other thing, this is precisely why I'm not a huge fan or being too impressed with the Bottas streak of entering Q3 for what I think 100, 200 races, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because look, Mercedes was almost at least a half a second or close to a second faster than the fastest midfield car. So
Yeah.
even on his worst day, Bottas was going to be P6.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, you're not really doing a big thing if you're ultimately qualifying in Q3.
Yeah.
And
Like-
the overtly gassed statistic is this one, consistently reaching Q3.
Tsunoda, like I said, Tsunoda in 2023 in the Red Bull, if he performs as he's performing right now, he's on the podium every weekend, basically.
Yeah.
Like that.
Exactly.
That's the problem. Like, is like, I don't know. The car is very, very important,
Yeah. Not only car, it's just that we are in a different era of Formula One. Pre-2021, I'd say until 2020, we had an era where the field spread was bigger. So in that cases, your bad weekends meant you were maybe a slot behind your teammate or a couple of slots behind your teammate. Now it's basically you're in Q1 and Q3. That's how big the gap is.
Yeah.
And again, it's good for us. I think it also does one thing. It is probably a kind of caution that we need to have, because last season it was around a couple of tenths between Oscar and Lando, and Lando swept him throughout the season.
Yeah.
And now Oscar has made up that gap, and it's a couple of tenths. It's not huge. It's achievable over a season.
Yeah.
And now Oscar has done that, and now he's the favorite.
Yep.
And that's what's probably going. I don't entirely know how the 2026 regulations have in terms of field spread. At least for now, that's where we are.
Probably going to be a lot more, let's be honest. But
There are I'm slowly getting more and more excited about the 2026 season.
Yeah,
Now, because
I am
a lot
too.
of things have been heard, and
Yeah, I was going to say I am too, just because there's so much to change, and I kind of like chaos, and I also don't know who's going to win at the minute, so that's what's interesting. I'm just kind of, if I'm honest, I don't care if it's. I just kind of hope it's not Mercedes or Red Bull, regardless. Like ideally,
Yeah, you
it's
can be rest assured it's not Red
not
Bull.
Red Bull. Yeah, but like ideally, like I'll take McLaren being up there for the title fight. Ideally, it's someone new. Like if an Aston or fucking, I don't know, like if it's an Aston or Williams or Ferrari or someone gets it right and wins, it would just be great. The ideal situation is we have 3 or 4 teams fighting for the title next year. But like if we're going to get a dominant season, which I feel like we are from one team, I just really hope it's not Mercedes or Red Bull because they've had enough time. Let someone else have a little bit of glory for a while. Like, God damn it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Look, if the Mercedes power unit is good, then it would be foolish to rule out McLaren.
Yeah, no.
What they've shown
If
this
the Mercedes
season
power
is,
unit's good, I would expect McLaren to beat Mercedes at the moment. So we've talked about this.
Even
I've
if they
definitely
don't at the
fallen
start
into
of the
that.
season, you expect them to figure things out and be a bit more well-rounded when it comes to that.
They've got a better aero team. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
So speaking of McLaren, title fight.
Wait. One question because I think it's an important one. Isack Hadjar, where do you rank him amongst the rookies?
I think, honestly, like, it's hard not to put him at the top, and not just because of this race, but like in general over the season, he's been the most impressive in terms of most things. The only problem I've had with putting him at the top is, one, I think Bortoletto's done a spectacular job and is somewhere up there as well. And two, I think the problem has been it's hard to know where he is in comparison to his teammates. You know, that's because his teammate has been like Lawson, who has been off his game quite a bit. But I think that said, like the only thing you can really do is maximize your results, you know, and if your teammate's not performing, can you really keep putting that on him? Not really. And I just think no other rookie has been maximizing results. Obviously, Colapinto has been doing spectacularly every weekend and he's been sabotaged, but let's put him not on that list. And Doohan's probably not up there as well. Like Bortoletto and Hadjar have been the two best by far, I think. Behrman has been too inconsistent. Antonelli's had a couple of peaks, but again, way too inconsistent. Too many throwaway results. Who else are rookies this year? Am I missing anyone? Is that it?
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Lawson,
Alonso,
you can call
obviously.
him one, yeah.
Yeah, Alonso, yeah.
Who do you think has the bigger peak?
In terms of like peak performance over the years, or this
Career-wise.
so far? Oh,
Career-wise.
Antonelli, I think. Like I think Antonelli, just because we've seen
that's
some raw talent from him. You know,
Exactly, and I think that's the whole thing. Isack Hadjar, amazing, brilliant job that he's done. I think there are a lot of people that just forget the fact that who is in the other car in each of those cases. Again, Hulkenberg, I rate him highly, but he's in a new team, a new car, and we've seen adaptation takes a lot of time with these cars. So he's having his struggles.
plus he's in
Then
the twilight of his career as well.
He's
It's not like he's at
almost
the start,
40,
you know. Yeah.
right? That's one. Then you have Behrman. Behrman has been strong, very strong. Similarly, his benchmark is someone who has moved from Renault, new team, new power unit, everything. Hadjar, he first had a couple of races with Yuki, and then he's had a pretty much decent stint with Liam Lawson. Now, Liam Lawson is good. He's not great. George Russell is one of the best drivers in Formula One who doesn't have off weekends. And that's what Kimi Antonelli is being weighed against. In the last couple of races, Kimi Antonelli was less than 2 tenths behind George Russell in the best laps in Q2 or Q3, whichever it was. What is, again, if you have to ask me what is more impressive, is it being a couple of tenths off George Russell or being a couple of tenths faster than Liam Lawson? I might lean more towards being a couple of tenths off George Russell. I think that's the difference.
Look, the thing is as well, we know that Antonelli has like that pure pace of, like if Antonelli gets the mistakes out of the way and you were talking just like pure qualifying pace, you put him and Hadjar alongside each other. I think Antonelli beats Hadjar like on just pure pace, and I think that's because I watched some of his junior career. I've seen like some of the sessions he's done with Mercedes, some of the qualifying pace he had. Like I know Miami was a once off, but that's a good insight into like what this kid can do if he gets it
He
right.
did that to George Russell, by the way.
Yeah. That's like it would be genuinely if if Tsunoda was beating Max, you'd think Tsunoda's incredible. If Tsunoda was even as close to Max consistently as Antonelli is to George, it would be really impressive as well. Like so. I don't know. Like, but also we need to keep in mind Antonelli not only is a rookie, he also is incredibly young, and is in a car that we know is difficult to drive. Right? I know some fans watching this of Max are like, "What are you talking about? The Mercedes is really easy. That's why George is doing well." That car is tricky to drive. If you watch the onboards, you can see like it's. The problem is it's so unpredictable that even Mercedes don't understand when it's going to be good. So like Mercedes don't understand the car, right? So if you don't understand the car, it's even harder to train a rookie. And then I think that what they've done basically is what they've now done essentially is they've told Antonelli, just make all the mistakes you want this year. Like just drive and make the mistakes, because Toto said something after the crash. He basically said, this is a learning year. I want him to make all of his mistakes this year so he can learn for next year. And that makes sense now, like, because you don't learn from your successes in Formula One. You learn when you hit the wall and you're like, oh, okay, don't do that again. So yeah, in terms of who's going to have
exactly.
I would assume in terms of who's going to have the better career, it's going to be Antonelli. But I will say Hadjar and Bortoleto could surprise us because they've both been brilliant this year. And Behrman's good too.
100%.
But,
Yeah.
I do wonder, sorry to rant on.
He
just one thing.
finished P6.
Yeah, sorry to rant on, but just I do wonder how much of this is Haas as well, because Haas are historically deeply bad with rookies. So it would not surprise me if part of this is just the way they're handling it.
This is more Ollie. I mean, I've seen his career. This is more Ollie. Ollie makes a lot of mistakes. He should have. Look, it seems he's going to ultimately drive for Ferrari one day, but there are so many. He has that error in him. I mean, he's breathtakingly fast, but he has that error in him, and that continues to be there. But that's an entirely different conversation. Now let's talk about McLaren and the title battle.
Yeah.
Tell me, is Lando Norris out of the championship? Should we just crown Oscar Piastri the champion already?
No, not yet. But simply put, I'll say what we've constantly been saying. Oscar's still the favorite, because look, Lando didn't throw away an extra, 18 points today. Like, he didn't throw those away. Like, he was not winning that race, sorry, but he was getting close to Oscar. He was hunting him down. I don't think he was going to pass him. I think he would have tried, but I don't think he would have passed him. But the 18 points are just unfortunate. So this would have been a 16-point difference, at which point you're only talking a DNF. Simple fact is as well, it's a mechanical DNF. There's still 9 races to go. Could easily happen to Oscar as well and swing back the other way. So I don't think it's over. The problem I find for Lando right now is when Lando has a bad day, he has a really bad day, right? When Oscar has a bad day, it tends to be just behind Lando. Like, he's just finishing P2 instead of P1, So the problem I think that Lando has is, and I think Jolyon Palmer said this after the race, it's like the biggest issue he has is even if he goes now and wins the next 5 races, you can almost guarantee that Oscar is going to be P2, which means he'll win 5 races in a row and still only be 1 point in the lead. So he just has this mountain of an uphill battle right now where he has to be basically perfect. And unfortunately for Lando, the closer one to perfect so far this year is the guy in the other garage.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's over, because, look, today just shows us how quickly things can change. Like, how quickly things can change. So we could easily have, like, a DNF and then like a crash for Oscar, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Oscar can't win the title with 2 races to go or something. But at the moment it looks like Oscar.
I mean, the biggest example is 2006. Alonso has a DNF in Monza. Michael inherits the championship lead. Then in the second last race, Michael is leading, would end up taking over the I think they were level on points, and Michael would have led the championship going into the final race, but then the engine blows.
Yeah.
It can happen. It can happen
Yeah,
to
yeah.
anyone. It's a blow for sure, but it's 9 more races. That's a lot of races.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of races, a lot of permutations, a lot of things could happen. And we won't have every race similar to what we had here, where it's only a battle between the McLarens.
Yeah.
Las
Yeah,
Vegas
yeah.
is going to be once again a Ferrari track. Not Ferrari, sorry. Mercedes track. Because it's going to be chilly as fuck. Singapore, Baku to a certain extent. Then we have Monza. We might see Ferrari do well there as well. So
Yeah.
once you have these teams mixing things up, the potential of maybe having a larger points gain over a race weekend, it increases. So yeah, it's all to play for. 9 races is a lot. I mean, we
Plus,
all
I
remember,
mean,
right?
as
Yeah,
Lando
sorry.
joked about during the post race interview that Max was having, like
Oh,
the Lando was basically was like, oh, I was kind of hoping watching from the sideline that you'd kind of lunge it in down the outside, you know? And Max just laughed, what just kind of take
yeah,
him out, you know. But yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the reason I bring that up is Max now has nothing to
Could happen.
lose. Well, Max has nothing to lose now in terms of he's not fighting for a title. So Max, if he sees like a win in front of him at some track, is going to go for it. Like if he really believes
Yeah,
he can get a win. And Oscar is very strong in defense and very strong in overtaking. So you could easily have a situation where it's not even a DNF. It's Oscar and Max fighting, and Oscar and Max, neither of them back out, or, you know, like it's just, there's so many things that could happen,
it
as you
could
said.
happen. Yeah, exactly. It's very early. 34 points is not a lot. Remember 2021 championship? I think max 34,
It's
38
33,
something.
yeah. Yeah. And then
Yeah,
Silverstone happened, and
and then
things
Hungary
went, yeah.
happened. Within
Yeah.
2 races, it was Lewis who had a championship lead of I think 10 something points. So anything could happen. You really cannot predict anything. And unless we forget, even it, I think post Canada, the gap was around 20 points or so.
24 at one point or 25 at
Yeah,
one point, yeah. So it's
exactly. So the gap
can easily
it
swing.
has grown and then reduced. So it's
Yeah.
been a bit of a trend. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
I just and it's a bit funny because the entire race weekend came down to that the first Q3 lap both of them did, and it was decided basically on who was lucky enough to get the toe. Again, a lot of people have a lot of things. A lot of Oscar fans got pissed off at me when I actually pointed it out. But this is just the reality. If it was not for that minuscule toe that he got from one of the racing bulls, Oscar would not have been on pole position. Now, maybe Lando would have probably still had a DNF. You don't know what happens with the Mercedes power unit. But maybe because he was behind, he had to push the engine more to overtake
Yeah, yeah.
Max early in the race and then try to keep up with Oscar. Maybe that played a role. You never know. So, yeah. Again,
I think though
luck
we're
can go
in
both
agreement
ways.
though that if like luck can swing and the title's not over, but we do think, as we did before, Oscar's still the favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't change, honestly, because that's going to remain the same until the end of the season, probably. Until Lando
Even if
does
Lando wins
something
the
which
title,
is.
I think it'll still be the favorite didn't win. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's.
Oh.
But again, I honestly, if I was Lando, it's time to throw caution to the wind. Just when there's a chance, just go all in.
Yeah.
Try to maybe if it just one of the best examples is next weekend is Monza, where Oscar last season pulled off that kind of overtake on I think it was T3. If Lando has the opportunity this time around, do it. If it
Yeah.
means Oscar loses a couple of places, fine. Maybe bloody his nose once or twice. Just make it a battle, cause look, you're in the title battle this time around. You never know what's going to happen next season. Maybe
Yep.
you're not. So this is the opportunity. Go for it. Will he or will he not? We'll see.
Yeah. I'm a bit
So the
skeptical.
title battle is done now. I don't think we discussed this prior, but the whole Charles Leclerc versus George Russell, the overtake thing. What's your view on the whole thing?
So the honest truth is, like, it wasn't a penalty, and I'm glad it wasn't a penalty. Right? It wasn't a penalty, right? I'm right in saying that.
No, it wasn't.
But I think as per the regulations, it could have been. And that's what annoys me about the regulations and the way we go racing at the minute, which is like it's over-regulated, but it has to be because we have inconsistent stewards that can't make a decision, and also that can't seem to make a decision without talking to the drivers first, which is absolutely ridiculous because you don't need to talk to the drivers in that situation. The overtake was incredible and I think should be allowed. Like, he really lunged it. He went onto the gravel. And in reality, if those regulations weren't as clear-cut as they were, then George was giving him room, or he would have had to give him room, basically. And George, interestingly, kind of ruined his own race in some ways as well by getting the damage down, by not giving room. But according to the regulations, as far as I could see from looking at a quick onboard of Leclerc, the cameras weren't perfect, but basically his front axle wasn't alongside the mirror, and at that point you're going into the second corner, so Leclerc is technically on the inside by that point. He's not overtaking on the outside. So I think, if I'm right, under the regulations at that apex,
it's on the outside.
He's on the outside coming around the first part, but going into the second corner because it's a chicane.
It's still on the outside.
It's still counted as one.
Okay.
I'm not sure which way they would count that. Either way, he wasn't. Both of the regulations are alongside the axle or alongside the front mirror. Either way, he wasn't, I don't think, alongside the front mirror even, which means even if it's the outside, he's still not far enough ahead anyway under the regs. So he wasn't entitled. He wasn't entitled to any. So basically,
that's
if you
fine.
want to, you're not entitled to room,
fine.
basically.
That's fine. He's not entitled to room, but he had the room, right? When you overtook him, he had two wheels on the track, other two in the gravel. So the regulations, when they talk about something like this, they talk about being entitled to a room or not. They are not specifying that you can or cannot overtake. That's nowhere a part of discussion.
Sure, but the point is,
so what
he slid out.
Charles did is
he slid out and hit him though, because you can't control it while you're on the gravel like that. And if you look at basically George completely closed off the gap, so he had to go onto the gravel, as they're coming into the chicane. My point is, if these regulations weren't that prescriptive, George would have been more careful about leaving some racing room on the inside as they come in through the chicane, because if he had forced him off, he could have gotten a penalty for forcing a driver off. But under these regulations, George knows he's not alongside me at the apex, so I can push him off. Like, I don't need to leave him any room. Which I think the problem is, you're then basically closing off any ballsy rules.
I agree with that. That's not a... No, I agree with that. That's not a concern for me. My point is, George was entitled to close the room, close the door entirely.
Yeah, under the
he
regs,
was, because he was ahead at the apex, right?
Yeah.
My point is, sure, you are entitled to do that. Charles basically shoved him aside. That's what he did. It was a lunge. It was a late lunge, and there's no point in the regulations which says that you cannot lunge. Right? The entire thing is you are or you are not entitled to the room. Now, if George had completely put his car on the put the Mercedes where Charles cannot get alongside, then that was fine. Then he would not. Then if they make contact and there's damage or something, understandable. In that case, Charles ends up losing out. But what happened was there was slight gap, because when Charles pulled off the overtake, the two tires were on the track. The other two were on the gravel. That means the car is on track. Basically, it has to be at least one tire on track, right? So once he did that, I think it was fine. Again, this is hard racing. My only issue is, honestly, what pissed me off is the entire thing about we cry and moan about the fact that there aren't overtakes. The drivers do not race hard. And as soon as we see one moment where there is hard racing, everyone starts whining or crying about things.
But this is my point. This is
2021, by the way. This is literally... Yeah, sorry, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, this is my point though. Like, the only reason that's not a penalty is because Mercedes basically dropped it. Like, you can even see from the document, it's like Mercedes didn't argue
Not entirely sure, because... Yeah, the supporting argument is George did not want to contest it, but it doesn't mean that Charles was getting a penalty. It's just that George didn't want to contest it.
Yeah, there's a reason they didn't. Both team representatives were in agreement that there was no clear evidence he left the track. Basically, both drivers felt it was a racing incident. This is very they basically decided to let it go. And I think if that wasn't the case...
Why do you think they were
if
not
that
going
wasn't
to.
the case, they're giving him causing a collision penalty, basically. That's what they were investigating it for, not for
I
leaving
don't.
the track.
Yeah. But again, that kind of, there's this common notion, rubbing's
No,
racing,
but
right?
technically, under the regulations, under the sheet that they have, that
Yeah,
is
but
a
if
10-second
your
penalty
cars
for
are going to
causing a
just
collision.
touch and you're going to start penalizing drivers,
Sure,
then
but
that's the end
this
of
is my
racing,
point,
right?
though. Sure, yeah, and I agree with you. This is my problem. with
Collision
it.
means you're going through. You're at
Sure,
least
yeah.
reaching a certain threshold.
But this is no. But the point is, like, you're causing a collision because you're not entitled to be there, basically, according to the regulations. Like, you're not entitled to any room.
There's no such thing as entitled in that sense, right? It doesn't mean if the gap
You're
is
still
you went
causing
for
a
it.
collision, though, basically, because you're like
You're
under the
touching-
regulations.
you're touching wheels.
Yeah.
Touching wheels is
we,
so
we
common.
agree on this. We agree
Yeah.
on this. What I'm saying is the problem is lunges like that, right? People whine and moan because the regulations and how it's held up all the time are basically, in most cases, that's a penalty for causing a collision under the
No,
regulations.
that's not a collision. I would not call it collision in any which way. For me, collision is if it's a race-ending thing or there's a
He
tire
did damage.
puncture
He
or
did damage to the other car.
Big
Took
deal.
some of his floor off.
big deal. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, we agree. But I'm telling you, under the regulations, that is causing a collision.
Then why did they not do that?
Because
Why did-
Mercedes gave up on it, and the stewards
Okay,
didn't
tell me
want to
something.
penalise Leclerc for Monza, essentially.
Okay, tell me something. Why was this particular incident basically allowed to be investigated after the race while the Carlos Sainz and Liam Lawson incident wasn't? Or
Because they don't.
Which was the other one? Yeah, the other one was a slam dunk. The Kimi Antonelli Leclerc one.
The
Why
first,
was
the first one was they wanted to investigate whether he went off track as well. There was a few things, but they do this all the time. Like, this is my annoyance. Like, why
No.
can't they just? Okay, so what do you think?
I have a theory that I think they saw the move, and I think what they didn't want to set a precedent where just rubbing leads to penalties, and that's where they.
I just don't think they wanted to
that's
set
why
a precedent. They don't want to set a precedent where that kind of overtake gets penalised. Full stop, because
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
it was an incredible overtake. But
That's
the
what I
problem
mean.
is that, like, these. My point is that the problem is these regulations are just way too prescriptive to the point where you can just game things. Like, George just. I don't know. I just feel like in that situation, like, that kind of lunge is spectacular, and he, like, in that
George
situation
didn't expect
normally.
Charles to be there.
No,
That's the
and
whole thing.
normally George would have moved out of the way, but I think not moved out of the way completely, but given more room, I think.
No. George
So,
would have
well,
even
George didn't
closed
want to be
whatever
hit.
little gap was there.
Maybe,
The thing
yeah.
is, there was a tiny gap, and Charles just went for it.
Yeah,
the
maybe,
thing is, Charles
maybe.
basically made his mind that I'm going through it no matter what.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, it comes down to a very basic thing. You cannot race in Formula One as such.
Mm-hmm.
If he had not gone for such a move, there's a high likelihood that he would not have overtaken George at all. I mean, he'd spent the first stint basically looking at the ass of the Racing Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't overtake a Racing Bulls, you're not overtaking a Mercedes, and that's the whole thing. That's why you have to.
This is my point earlier. Get rid of DRS, because then you have to go for moves like that, and we'll see more of them.
The driver. The reason is not. The drivers are not going for moves at other points is not because they have DRS at other parts. It's because they cannot get close enough. The braking zones have gotten so
look,
small.
Sure, but look at the tracks. Look at tracks like Brazil, for example, right, where they always, like, Brazil is a great example of Lewis Hamilton, for example, in 2021, right, where there was so many overtakes. They're all just done in the DRS zone, right? Because why would he risk it anywhere else, even with the faster car? He's just going to wait for the easy pass of the DRS.
How many other zones are there in Sao Paulo to overtake?
Sure, there's lots of them, though, if you're really ready to give a ballsy move. If you've got the
There are
faster
two
car, but if you've got the faster car into, is it turn 4 after the center S's, you can lunge it in there. You could go on the outside through the
Yeah, but
fucking
that's
S's.
DRS, right?
Yeah, no, but you could go on the outside through the S's, right? For example, you could go in the last corner
It's happened
before.
once in
Sure,
20, 20 years,
But
and
if you
that was
make,
by the greatest
if-
talent on the
but
F1
if
grid right now.
instead of focusing on fucking DRS and patching things, if they had a focused on cleaning up the dirty air, then you could have the cars follow close enough to make lunges
agree
like
with
that.
you.
Like, but this is my point. By just patching it, like, obviously as well, the drivers are going to think, why would I risk lunging an overtake into this corner, when I've got the faster car in DRS, I'll just wait for the straight. It just
I'll tell you
it
why
bores
they
the shit
don't.
out of me.
I'll tell you why they don't. The
Because they
margin
can
of
overtake in
error has
DRS.
gotten no, because the braking zones have gotten smaller, which is one of the biggest problems. Because it was Gary Anderson, or it was one of the race has this new technical podcast that they are doing. So in that one,
Yeah.
he was specifically talking about that in during early 2000s, the braking zones was, if the braking zones at that time was 100 meters, it has reduced to 15 to 20 meters right now by brake by wire, and by 2013 it was around 50 to 60 meters.
Yeah.
So in as the technology is improving, cars are getting better and better, the margins of error is getting smaller, and if the margin of error is smaller, it makes overtakes more and more tough.
Yeah.
That's the whole
So
thing.
what you're saying is we should fit the F1 cars with drum brakes, and it would make it a lot more exciting.
I'd love that.
Yeah. Imagine 300
Let's-
kilometers an hour hitting the drum. There's no pressure. I need just Leclerc trying to bleed the fucking brake line as they're going around the track.
I mean, you can actually imagine him doing that. Because
Well, I can
you
imagine Ferrari building a
fucking
car.
up because of that.
But yeah, I don't know.
God,
It's just one of these things where we're just constantly patching the sport instead of actually fixing it, and it's getting
Because there's
getting
no
pretty frustrating.
unified vision, right? That's the whole problem. Because
Well,
what has happened is
it
we've
should
got
have been a very fucking clear vision from these regulations were meant to fix the dirty air. And then FOM decided they wanted to get manufacturers in. So instead of continuing to fix the dirty air, no, we just need to make an engine that these manufacturers want, which
there's
means
actually
they're
a
now
bigger
focusing on that.
concern happened with them as well. Sorry to butt in.
No,
There's
cool.
one. Yeah, the concern was that these the ground effect cars, it's not public, so off the record thing, it's starting to hurt drivers' backs a lot.
Yeah,
They don't speak it, they don't talk about it because it's bad PR. But there was this interview, I think Norris did that. He said that I cannot do track walks anymore. My back hurts too much.
Wow.
This
That's insane.
and every driver has said that after every race they have to get treatments. Like there's the physiotherapist, the whole
Yeah.
thing that they have to go through. And that kind of, the thing is, if it starts hurting your back, there's no cushion. You're
Yeah,
basically on your ass when you're driving the car, right? So that is one of the reasons why they had to move on from the ground effect era. But there are areas which they could actually implement to change and have a reduced, you can say, but the dirty air, the turbulence. But I think the question is going to be next season where the cars are. I think we are at a point where we are looking at a great reset. I'm a huge fan of active aerodynamics as such, but what we'll have right now is a two-pronged version where it's basically X and Y, where it's either low downforce or high downforce, and there's a medium thing which is basically for your rest of the lap. How they're going to manage that is going to be interesting, but after they've done that, I think this is something that's going to improve to a point where it becomes very dynamic. And once it becomes dynamic, that's where the things like the turbulent air and how that impacts, and how the whole power boost thing is actually going to make changes in terms of overtakes or wheel to wheel action, how it's going to play a role. I think that's going to come next season. But yeah,
I
let's see
still
what
think
happens.
the only real solution to it is give the teams a dirty air metric and tell them to fucking fix it. But you know, the
actually a
more
right
I
one.
think about it, the more I just think that's the only way you'll ever fix it. Because if you tell the teams like just
Leave it to the
like
teams.
plank,
Yeah.
if you say just like the plank where if you create X percentage of dirty air or above, you're disqualified from the race. The teams will figure it out very quickly because they'll have to balance most efficiency versus keep not having turbulent air. They will figure that out. But if you leave it to the FIA, it's never going to be solved. So
Exactly.
but anyway,
Because I mean, if these regulations, if they were kept with the initial spirit with which they were written, we would not be in the condition that we are right now in terms of overtakes and stuff. But that's where we are. Moving on. Enough of the whole thing.
speaking of disasters,
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of them. So first of all, let's talk about Lewis Hamilton. Your view on his weekend, because he crashed out. I think this is the first time he's
what's
crashed
his
out
excuse
for
this
Ferrari.
weekend, by the way?
Rain.
What? He didn't actually say that, did he?
He said that the part was a bit slippery. He actually went a bit off track, and there was paint on that part, and the car
Did he not?
just.
Did he not see the paint? Because it's very visible, that area of paint. Like, it's a big fucking green and blue section. Like, did
Yeah.
he not know there was paint there? Also, when did he start racing again? I believe it's almost 2 decades, right? And he doesn't realize paint is slippery. Like, what's
He made an
happening
error.
here?
Happens.
Yes. Okay.
He keep grinding his gears. Huh?
I just because there's an excuse every weekend. I did put up. I was like, I wonder what Hamilton's excuse is going to be after this weekend. Yeah, look, he made a mistake, and that's fine. It's just, as Damien said a couple of weeks ago, if that was Norris, everyone would be piling on.
No,
because
they are piling on him because I saw an interview.
it's too many mistakes. It's every weekend there's something.
Yeah, but this wasn't. This is something that happens, honestly. Because
This is a marginal mistake. The problem is, like I said, it's if this was Norris, and as you said, people are piling on, but if this was Norris, people would be like, yeah, it's only a marginal mistake. Yeah, but it's every weekend, it's every session he's making a mistake. And with Hamilton, for me, it's like you kicked out a good driver, you're getting paid a lot, you need to be delivering better than this, and you're not. Like, it's a 7-time world champion. It's not a rookie. Like, I don't know.
Okay. My view is probably a different one. I think Lewis this weekend,
Someone
he should
has to
be.
wind the comments up.
I know you're doing that. So someone has to be the sensible in that case. Yeah, I think it's overall. It's probably a bit masked because Charles was not happy throughout the race weekend. He was not happy with the car. They made a lot of changes. Even on the lap when he out qualified Lewis, he said he left a couple of tenths on the table.
Yeah.
I'd still say Lewis throughout the race weekend he looked more comfortable than he has for a while. So that's a good thing. He was neck and neck with Charles. I think if he had kept the nose clean, didn't really make those errors, he probably would have. I don't know. Again, that's a big if because a lot of things happened in this race, which is very hard to predict what would have happened. But yeah, in terms of pace and performance, he should be happy because Zandvoort is not his favorite track, and he did decently in terms of performance.
No, it wasn't
Crash
that bad.
and all.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad. It's
Next
just
race is going to be interesting.
look, it wasn't that bad. But jokes aside, like it's not the kind of mistake a driver like him should be making, though.
Happens. I'm completely fine with it. Yeah,
It's
I
too
know.
many
I know.
mistakes. Too many. He's basically Norris as far as I'm concerned now this season.
Yeah, Norris doesn't make these mistakes.
No.
Yeah. Now the second driver who also made one, Kimi Antonelli. What do you make of his weekend?
Oh God. Yeah. He was driving well as well up until that point. He was coming through the field.
He was ahead of George, right? I mean, he was catching George. Then George had his moment with.
When they inverted the cars, George's radio.
What?
He's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? yeah, that was funny. That was very funny.
Yeah.
No, Antonelli had a really good weekend. Just like, again, rookie error. Like, he went for an overambitious overtake, and
I'm happy with him doing something like that.
So am I.
I'd say because that was a bit of an impetuous move. Because again, that is something that Alonso kind of specialized, the way he's gone about it, and I think Charles also pulled that move on George at the start of the race. So it's tough. He just probably, I think he outbraked himself and then just clattered into Charles, which was, well, it sucked.
Charles was
But,
probably happy for ending his misery.
He was on route to a podium, Charles, isn't it? At that point.
I don't know. I don't know if he would have got.
Yeah, because I think it was him, Isaac, and Max. They were within a couple of seconds of each other, and he had pitted, and if the undercut worked, he probably would have jumped both of them.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think I'm fine with the mistakes if he keeps showing the pace, and the pace was there this weekend. Next weekend we are going to see a bit more of it in Monza. It's his home race. By the way, he's also confirmed now. They probably gone ahead and confirmed it. Toto, both of them, George and Kimi.
Oh, Toto
I don't know
confirmed.
what
They
means what
haven't talked about the contracts or like an official confirmation, but he basically unofficially confirmed it. Yeah. It's,
Yeah,
From
he
what I
said
heard,
that they're-
Antonelli's a 1+1 anyway.
Mhm.
George is still the sticking point, but it sounds like George is probably just going to accept a 1+1 for now. You know,
He doesn't have any options in it. Yeah, let's see what
No.
happens with that. Again, overall for Kimi, I'm more than happy with the way he's gone about this weekend.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the pace is getting there. I personally feel 9 races, we are going to, I think by the end of the season, we'll reach a point where we'll be eager to see what he does in 2026. I personally think that's where we are heading. And
Yeah.
the last couple of weekends, they've been a bit under the radar, but he's getting there. He's not in a situation where he's half a second off George in any which
Yeah.
way. He's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
much closer, and if he stays in this range, improvements are going to come, and they're going to happen soon. So I'm fine with the kind of weekend that they had.
Yep. That was good.
By the way, this is probably the best part for me because the race how many drivers had a shitty race weekend this time around? Because if there's a pattern you notice, it was Alonso triggering the undercut first on the very first, I think in the first stint when there were the slight droplets happening and he was going purples at that
Yeah.
point. And then you had Charles pitting. As soon as Charles pitted and came out of the pits, Lewis crashed. Brilliant. Because
Yeah.
because look, if that particular undercut had happened, Charles would have jumped both Isaac and Max. But Lewis fucked that up completely. I mean, completely. And again, Charles's team radios at that point is hilarious because as soon as that happened, his first reaction was, "We are unbelievably unlucky. Why this keeps happening to us?" That happened to him. And then at the back of the grid was Alonso, who had pitted earlier just to trigger an undercut and jump. I think it was Kimi, Yuki, and one more driver that was ahead of them.
Yeah.
And it basically cleared all of them. And then you had the safety car, it fucked everything up for him. Once that happened, then you had the second round of safety cars. And again, the second round of safety cars included Charles. He was basically clattered by Kimi.
Yeah.
And just 2 laps before that had happened, Alonso had pitted. Not 2 laps, I think 4 or 5 laps before that had happened. Once again, safety car. As soon as that happened, Alonso, who had gained such an advantage and was going to jump all these guys, and he was en route to a P7 or P8, something on those lines. Again, safety car, all the advantage gone, and he's screwed once again. Like, the man can't. There's literally nothing that he can do. And there's this clip of him just shouting on the team radio as soon as the second safety car happened.
Yeah.
He's basically going through his entire you can say run of bad luck in 2025, it seems, because nothing
good
seems to be
idea.
working for him.
Get it all out of the way so
Seems like it
2026 gets all the good luck in 2026, you know? That's what he's
Yeah,
hoping
but
for.
you'd expect that the last 12 years would have been enough for that. So
Yeah.
he's he's still there. Yeah. And I think he ended up in P9,
P8. Yeah.
Yeah. Stroll was
Yeah,
P7
Stroll
and he was
P7.
he ended up behind Alonso, behind
Yeah.
Stroll, which is
Yeah.
funny. It's actually funny because after the kind of race he had and the kind of weekend Stroll had.
Yeah. It's insane. There's
Yeah,
like
what
2
can you
points between them now in the standings as well. After all the bad luck that Alonso's had over the season, like how is Stroll not like miles ahead? You know, it's just
It's literally a competition of who is the most unlucky driver in Formula 1 right
Yeah.
now. It's basically Charles and Alonso. They are battling for it because every time something goes wrong for them.
yeah.
Yeah. And even I think happened with Sainz as well. By the way, your view on
It's-
the
it's
Sainz
just,
Lawson incident.
It's Ferrari bad luck basically, because if you look, these are all Ferrari drivers or ex-Ferrari drivers, so
Yeah.
it must be something to do with Ferrari.
You might leave Ferrari, but the Ferrari in you never leaves.
yeah, the Carlos Sainz one.
With Lawson.
That was Carlos's fault, definitely. Like the incident, but just unlucky as well. He just went for a move, and I don't think the move was ever on. And then Again, I do think Lawson could have given him a bit more room, but he didn't need to, and Carlos was being ambitious. So I think it's just, you know, it is what it is.
You're screwed
I
both
don't
of
know
them,
if-
no?
Yeah, that's the problem. He got a 10-second penalty for it then afterwards, didn't he? And 2 penalty points or something.
Even that, yeah. I mean, even before that, they dropped right back because I think Lawson was P6 or P7 at the time,
Yeah.
and Carlos was just behind him.
Yeah.
They both got screwed with that. It's a bit. I won't have penalized it. Honestly, I just think it was a racing incident at best.
Yeah.
It just seems that either Lawson wasn't aware that Carlos was in that particular area, or he just didn't care. He just closed
Yeah.
the door. And
Yeah. I think
again,
he was. I would assume he wasn't aware because, like, closing the door there is fucking silly if you are aware, because what happened was bound to happen. So I would assume he was looking on the inside, checking for something, and closed the gap or whatever. It's easily done, you know. Yeah.
Carlos was furious at him. Said a lot of things that he
Oh,
doesn't
is
know
this
how to
guy?
race. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, even afterwards, on F1 TV said that this guy doesn't know how to race, and it's almost every time. He said, I can literally trust almost every driver on the Formula 1 grid to navigate such a corner, but it was my foolishness that I trusted this driver. Like, what's going on with them?
Yeah.
And I actually thought Lawson's answer was more, you can say, measured in terms of how he went about it. He said that maybe Carlos should have come to me before saying such things in the media.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious with
Carlos
both of them.
doesn't care though. Yeah.
Yeah. Carlos is also going through such a shitty run because he was also I think he could have got a P7 or P8. He ended up getting, I don't
We
think he
talked
got
about this
anything.
before as well. Like the points gap between the points gap between him and Alex looks so bad, but when you put it in context of Carlos, like one moving team, moving engine, and everything, plus this bad luck, there's so many points where it's not his fault. You know, like it's really not.
By the way,
I do think this one was
today it
partly
got
on him,
worse.
though. Yeah.
By the way, today
Yeah,
it
yeah.
got worse because I think Albon picked up 10 or 12 points. He was P5.
So Albon is on 64 and Carlos is on 16. So quite a difference between them. Yeah.
Yeah. He's having a bad one, isn't he?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Albon's having a really good season as well, you know, so. Yeah.
True. Keeping the nose
Albon
clean
is
is also
tied
important.
for points now with Antonelli.
Antonelli. Yeah.
Insane.
How far behind they are from Lewis?
Lewis is on 109, they're on 64, so almost 50 points. Is that right?
45 points.
Yeah.
45 points.
Yeah.
That's still decent.
So
Yeah.
is that them
Even,
doing well or Lewis doing poor? I'm kidding. I'm just trying to wind people
Lewis
up
is just
again.
being unlucky.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I think this
I mean, yeah.
takes Leclerc though out of the fight for P3. I think, in my view, I know it's only 33 points, but I think that's going
It's
to be
only
a hard.
33. No, it's more
Yeah.
than that now, isn't it?
It's no to Max, yes, but to George, for example, it's 33, and then it's 54 to Max. So it's he's not
that's
fighting for
done.
P3.
He's done.
You know,
I always forget he's driving for Ferrari, and when you're driving
Yeah.
for Ferrari, even the world universe
Yeah.
conspires against
like
you.
it's 21 points between George and Max. I would assume Max is going to get it, but George's consistency and the lows of the Red Bull could still, like, that's close enough over 9 races that 3 or 4 points a race could make a big difference.
Yeah. Plus, Mercedes doesn't have the kind of bad juju that Ferrari does for some reason.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
Look, both of his pit stops that Charles did, they were fine. I had no issues with him pitting at that particular time, triggering the undercut, because he could have made up places. You cannot predict Lewis crashing out. That's something you'd never predict. And then Kimi just clattering into him
Yeah.
that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when these kind of things happen, it's like, I mean, that's why Charles was just sitting right on the grass afterwards. He's like,
Do you reckon Maranello is like built on an ancient Indian burial ground or something? You know, like, is there? Like, I don't know.
you'd assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what this brought back memories of? This is just what Charles is doing this season is he's driving out of his skin, and he doesn't have the results to show for it. He almost should have won the race in Hungary, but the car gave up. He could have got a podium this time around. The universe conspired against him for some way.
Yeah.
Or his teammate fucked him over by crashing.
It's just
Peter's tweet, by the way, was the perfect one, by the way. Peter said that they cannot even do the crash gate perfectly. So
yeah.
this team can't do anything in the right
just it's so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, just reaffirms one very basic thing. Ferrari is nowhere next season, isn't it? Everywhere you look, whatever signs, momentum, or whatever, they are not going to be anywhere close.
Yeah.
Anyhow, now let's take a look at the questions or something. Should we jump to
Is
that?
there questions?
There
I'm
are
not sure if
plenty.
there's any questions. Is there? Okay.
Oh, there are a lot. I think
Are they
there
on YouTube
11
or?
questions. They are on YouTube. I'm not entirely
okay.
sure
There's
if
none
there
on
are
X.
any on
So
X.
yeah, there's none on X because I think it
Yeah.
was only posted a
Yeah.
couple of hours ago. So
There
it's
are
fine. Okay, go for it on
quite a
YouTube.
few
Let's jump
on.
in.
Yeah. I mean, I posted just after the race. I think it just got
Okay.
drowned out in the entire.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are focused on a lot of things at the time. Let me just give me a second. Okay. 12 questions.
Okay, let's go.
Look vision. So first of all, let's start. Just as using the alternative strategy was a part of F1 back in Hungary, mechanical DNFs are part of F1, and Lando is being babied and spoken as if he is Jesus Christ on the cross. Is this British bias? By the way, did you yeah, I think guys, just a suggestion, F1 TV, not Sky Sports.
Yeah.
Apparently they went overboard when it came to the whole him being basically treated it as a tragedy that something like this could happen to Lando.
Yeah, I don't listen to it
And
anymore.
Sky
Sky
did
Sports.
basically,
Yeah.
so that's what happened apparently.
Yeah, I listened to F1
They're-
Live just
that's foolish.
after the Doan Japan incident, I just stopped listening to Sky unless like Rosberg's around or something, because it was that moment where
Yeah.
literally as Doan in free practice was going into the wall, like literally as he went into the wall, Jolyon Palmer went, "Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
never he never turned off the DRS because you don't brake there."
Disengaged.
And then
the DRS, yeah.
literally I switched over to Sky Sports 45 minutes later and they were going, "Yeah, we still don't know what happened with Doan." And I'm like, "Oh, well, this is ridiculous." And yeah, it was the same here. It was just DC literally just went, "Oh, that's unfortunate for Norris," because he was driving a good race and they were like, "I don't think he was going to win, but he drove a damn good race." And, it's just unfortunate
Yeah.
these things happen though, that's how the luck goes. That's it. Like, it wasn't like I don't know what Sky Sports was
There
like.
was
but-
a bit of a I mean DC had a bit of that in terms of when he was talking about how he said that I didn't expect to get emotional today, but Lando's incident makes me a bit emotional. And fine, man, it happens. It's not that big a deal. But yeah, I mean,
think-
it's
I don't
not
think-
as bad, isn't it?
I think I don't think anyone outside of Piastri fans or people who hate Norris, like, I think it's unfortunate it happened. And the reason I think it's
Yeah, it's
unfortunate
sad,
is
yeah.
just, it's unfortunate not because I feel horrible for Lando or anything, just
It's bad for
because
Formula One.
it's bad for the title fight. Like,
Exactly.
it's better title fight the closer it is. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's weird that they're like babying it or whatever. It's just part of Formula One, as he said.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate because of the title fight.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Oh God. TRANG NGUYEN. Trang. I'm
Trang Nguyen.
I'm not sure.
Nguyen.
Trang Nguyen,
Trang
okay.
Nguyen. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Hello, Trang.
Apologies if you butchered your name. Happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Autosport posted a mid-season grade ranking of the drivers. Do you agree? And how do you think this ranking would change by the end of the season? No, I don't agree with Autosports anything these days. They are
they
basically
post
about to
that?
shut shop. Sorry, what?
Yeah. Did they post the driver rating mid-season? Did they?
Yeah, they did. They have
Okay.
Oscar 8.3, Charles
Yeah.
and George 7.4, Max
Yeah.
and Lando 7.3, Nico 6.6, Alonso
Yeah.
6.5,
This looks
Alex
great so far. What's the
6.4.
problem?
The problem is the gaps. You have Oscar at 8.3, and then you have Charles and George at 7.4, Max at 7.3.
Yeah. But then
How
you know
we
what?
have is
The
a bit different,
readers are
right?
the same, so it seems to me like they're taking their reader ratings basically and just pretending they're theirs.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you look at it, the reader ratings are essentially the same as their ones.
Is
Just
it?
slight. There's slight differences. Like the readers put Alonso in 11th and they have Alonso in 7th, but the top guys, the top 5 or 6 are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the read.
Ideally,
No, the readers have Lando Norris up higher. Never mind. No, it doesn't matter. Got it wrong. But yeah.
yeah. So ideally, what we, at least what I had when we did our ratings in Sportskeeda is the top four are, yeah, the top four are very close to each other, and the top four are Oscar, Lando, Oscar, Charles, George, and Max. They're very close to each other, and you can have it in any order you want. Then there's the next one, which is basically, I think it's Lando, Alex, Alonso, and Nico. You can have that in any order you want, and then so on.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, just giving a brief of it. If you guys want it, I can share the graphic or whatever it is on the community.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Trang has another question. So it is appreciate the biased content. Thank you. Kimi stacked up huge penalties. Is this a more aggressive Max Verstappen side that has been lacking, or just pure disappointment? Do you think he's getting babied? Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the aggression and stuff and the pace, like we said earlier, I think it's there. Like maybe not the aggression as much as Max, especially not off track, but like he's not afraid to go for moves and stuff either. Like, he's a proper talent. As for getting babied, yes, I think what's happened is Mercedes have had to swing things because Mercedes started the season by basically saying to him, let's slow down, go slow, and then work your way up. And I think over kind of half of the season, they realized, actually, let's just tell him to go as fast and crazy as he wants and make mistakes. And you have to have it one way or the other. It's too I think as soon as you hamstring a driver, they're then thinking too much and you just ruin it. I think you need to just let them make the mistakes over the first couple of seasons. And this is generally why you put the driver into like a slower car where there's less pressure, right? Like to let them make those mistakes in a different car. And I think probably, thankfully, the Mercedes isn't like top of the grid now. So Toto has finally decided, let's just let him make all of his mistakes over the rest of the season, which I think is the right decision. And like you said earlier, the move on Leclerc, it's good that he's going for those types of moves, even if they make mistakes. Ideally, he doesn't take another car out when he does them, but it's Formula One. These things
We
happen.
also had a good one on Alex earlier in the race, right?
Yeah.
What was it? Yuki. One of the two. I don't remember.
I think it was Yuki, actually. Yeah.
I have no issues with him. Yeah. I think there's also a bit of an inexperience on Toto's side that is being shown, right? Because this is the first time he has a young talent that is actually driving with his team. Before that, he's basically got
because George was the full
cooked
package by the time.
right?
Yeah, George was the full package by the time he came to Mercedes, and we saw that in the Sakir race. If it wasn't for the screw ups, like he was winning that race in his first race, so he
very
easily. So that's one.
And showing how good Bottas is, by the way. So
yeah, and then like before that, you've got Bottas, who obviously was at Williams and was prepared as well, and so. Yeah, I guess it's just he's never had a rookie realistically, so.
There's also an element of that, I guess. Next one is, what are your opinions on George and Charles's comments about the Charles investigation, and your own thoughts on that move? Own thoughts we've given. we gave an extended.
I didn't actually hear what either of them said afterwards. So what did?
It's basically a bit of gamesmanship. So George said that. It was basically the whole remember what happened last season in Abu Dhabi? He came with a rehearsed, prepared speech and basically gave it. Even this time around, I think it seemed that he had prepared the speech. The way he spoke, it's like he practiced what he was going to say and then he just said that. In his view, it was a bit of a case of The gap wasn't there. I was ahead at the apex. I have not seen anyone try that move, etc., etc. Charles came in and said that I'll do it again. So
Yeah.
you can make of it what you want. The thing is, it's basically a gamesmanship, and I think there is a bit of a needle between George and Charles, because even in the last race they had this thing where Charles moved under braking, and George complained, and after the race, when Charles was questioned, he said, "Of course, George complained. It was expected." Yeah.
Yeah.
So it happens between the two of them, but
I don't know. Like, I think this is the thing. George is kind of like a Alonso in some way, where like literally anything that happens. Well, yeah, it's just that like Alonso, how many times over the past has like something happened, Alonso's immediately on the radio, like he's watching everything and looking for advantages. George does that as well. I think Charles doesn't do that. Charles also doesn't call his strategy. Charles is a brilliant racer, but I think honestly, the two of those will be better off swapped in terms of teams, because I think George.
No one's better off at Ferrari.
No. What I mean is like
I don't hate George.
Charles neither do I. But what I mean is like if they swap them, they would both be better, because Charles, I think, is less likely to call out anything that like Mercedes does wrong, whereas I think George would be on the radio like, "No, I'm not doing that strategy. No, we're doing this." You know, like the way Carlos Sainz was, and I do think like
look where he's ended up.
Yeah, unfortunately, but like George is willing. That's one thing I do like about George. Like George is a very, very capable racer, but he's also like he's watching stuff the whole time, you know, and he's an interesting character, because we know that on camera in interviews he's all kind of PR-y, but behind the scenes he's a prick. And I kind of like my drivers that way. I want my drivers to be pricks, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
The thing is, why... And by the way, the last few races, the whole perception, which I don't know how it came, that Charles is a very safe racer, he doesn't make overtakes or is not bullish. I think these last few races, they've shown that he can do that. He can get that done.
Everyone needs to there needs to be a big sign on people's... No, but there just needs to be a big sign on people's walls when they're talking about Charles. Just like, remember, Charles is driving for Ferrari. So like everything should come with an asterisk of, you know...
There's a Ferrari tax.
This is literally why last year when people were like, I can't wait for Hamilton to go to a serious team, it was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Final question from him. Scared to ask, but Ferrari comeback in Monza, Lewis getting decent points, and he wasn't far off Charles in qualifying. Well, Lewis will start 5 places below where he qualifies, so that's a problem.
So P20.
No, God. No, I think he'll be... Yeah.
I think they should do well at Monza, though, right? I mean, the car is good in a straight line if they set it up at low downforce. We saw that at Spa. So... And also, at least they got most of their bad luck out of the way at Zandvoort. Well. Yeah, but they got their bad luck out of the way at Zandvoort, so that's good.
Yeah,
because remember how things go for Ferrari. If they had got a podium this weekend, it would have meant a double DNF next weekend, because you know that's Ferrari.
Not necessarily. Last time Charles got a podium here and won the next race.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think they should go well. Yeah, I think they should go well, but
look, the vibes that are there, I don't expect them to do well. I expect something to screw up entirely, because the way the season has been. What Ferrari got, I'd say not Ferrari, rather, I'd say Charles probably got all the goodies last season. He got the Monaco Grand Prix win, he got the win in Monza. He basically got all the good things last time around. Now it's basically destiny coming back and taking everything from him.
Yeah.
What's going to happen next race is he's going to secure pole position. He's going to lead the race. He's going to be 20 seconds ahead. And then the plank will start wearing, and then he'll have to drop back and finish P10. I won't be surprised if this happens.
It wouldn't surprise me either. The thing is, I think Hamilton, the best he can really hope for next week is good points, unfortunately, because if he starts P5, DRS trains around Monza are a nightmare. So
that's the problem, isn't it?
You know, so
because there are even though they have long straights, the overtaking is very, very hard.
It's
very
useless,
hard in
yeah.
that place.
It's because everyone's running low downforce, so you have long straights with DRS, but the DRS basically has no impact because you're already essentially not running a rear wing, so it's kind of pointless. So yeah, I think like if Hamilton's lucky and he gets on pole, he still finishes like P5. You know, I think so, like, because he starts P5 if he finishes on pole, and I think it's very, very unlikely that Hamilton gets pole.
P6.
So yeah, so like realistically, Hamilton's probably starting P8 to P12 somewhere around there next week, which means points are the best he can really hope for, you know. So yeah, unfortunate first home race for Hamilton. The good news is we know that Ferrari fans in the Italian media are very respectful and don't ever go crazy at drivers or anything.
And don't have short-term memories. By the way, Lewis is now 15 races and no podiums at Ferrari. And Alonso won his first race at Ferrari. Kimi won his first race at Ferrari. Vettel won his second race at Ferrari. The record for the most races before a podium at Ferrari is 19. So he's still got 4 races to break a record.
Yeah, well, it's not unlikely to happen in Monza. But he did get that sprint race win. It's just very, very unfortunate that Lewis Hamilton in 2023 was quoted as saying sprint races don't count, which makes it very, very hard for Hamilton fans to go, but what about the sprint races? Like, well, he specifically said it himself. Anyway, sorry. Moving on.
Okay, so CPB 1998. So the race then, LOL. Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Next up, Flaky. Another brilliant move from Andrea Dogshit Antonelli. Okay. How is it that drivers like Bortoleto and Hadjar are performing in their rookie season and a supposed wonder boy can't? Hadjar was much more under pressure with Helmut Marko and yet he delivers. Every single driver has spent their whole life going through multiple series to reach Formula 1. And when they reach, we suddenly give them weird protection. I get that you have to give them time to understand the car and get the pace from it. Okay. There's a reason why I call him... Okay, either deliver or get out. There's a reason why I call him Andrea overrated Antonelli. Jason?
Well, all I have to say to that is, in that case, then essentially we should have removed Piastri under the same logic in 2023, because in 2023 Piastri failed to deliver, was destroyed in qualifying by Norris, couldn't get on top of the tyres, and finished on 97 points to Norris's 205, which is probably similar to where George and Antonelli are going to finish. So yeah, I mean, cool. So Piastri shouldn't have been given time either, essentially, to warm up, and Piastri is now the title favourite. Look, Antonelli is a rookie. He's making mistakes. He was jumped into F1 very early and put into a team against a much, much, much better teammate than basically everyone on that list that you've just discussed, like with Hadjar and so on, into a car that is unpredictable. Not as unpredictable as the Red Bull I give you, but still an unpredictable car. And we know how difficult tyres are, like all these things. So, yeah, I don't know. Like the other drivers have made mistakes as well. It's just... there's more pressure on Antonelli. I think, look, the simple fact is what I've said before. The expectations on the other guys are way less as well. Like, if we're going to talk about, delivering, like, basically, if we want to go down the same thing, then also we should be shouting about Behrman, because Behrman hasn't been delivering anywhere near what he should be doing. But Hadjar and Bortoleto are overperforming because our expectations of those were, they're okay. They won't be that great. There'll be nothing special. So then whenever they do anything special, it's, massive. So I agree. I think that Antonelli's underperforming, but I also think everyone was expecting way too much. It was built up way too much. And I remember the same thing in 2023 with Oscar, not to this extent, but everyone was talking up Oscar as if he's the next Lewis Hamilton. And we see now that he has that potential. Like, he's leading the championship and making Norris, who is a brilliant driver, look really bad, like over the course of a season. And in that first season, it was a case of, have they made the right decision because he was replacing Ricciardo, but it was like, oh, well, this is a bit underwhelming. Like, we were expecting this guy to be the next Hamilton. I just think Formula One now, like, Formula One now just isn't that, like, it's not that easy with the tires and with these regulation sets and everything to just jump on things. And I think it's been impressive by Hadjar and Bortoleto, but also look at the teams they're in, look at their teammates. Like, there's so much context there. I think it's unfair just to pile on Antonelli. But that's just my view on it.
Yeah, I'd just say give him to the end of the season. If we don't see flashes of brilliance, it's going to be a concern for Mercedes as well. I think we are going to see a few things because he's starting to put things together.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to make mistakes. Kimi being called overrated is very similar to Max being called overrated in 2015, 2016, even 2017 to a large extent. When he had those errors in Monaco 2018, he was still called overrated.
Yeah, he was crashing and making mistakes, and it was
takes time to put things together, especially. Yeah, of course. I think we have to understand one thing largely, which is that he's 18 or 19.
18, right.
When Lewis put together his first season in Formula One, he was 22. 22. So
he's 19. Sorry. Yeah.
He was more mature, and he just turned 19, and that's the whole thing. You have to give him time, because I think for Kimi the best example is Max. We tend to forget that when Max debuted, he debuted alongside Carlos Sainz, who was also a rookie. And both of the rookies, they were basically started at the same, you can say, starting point. From there, it's easy to judge. When Max moved to Red Bull, even it took him a couple of years to get on top of the car and be on the same levels as Daniel and then overtake him. Same is going to happen with Kimi. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. You just have to be patient. I agree with one thing. We need to see moments of gold dust, which we used to see from Max when it rained or when it was the start of the race, be it a brilliant overtake or something. We need to see those things.
But also look at the other drivers who have changed teams as well, like the rookies. There's so much context here. It's not that easy, so I just think
give him time. Give him time, Flaky. You'd become a fan.
He's underwhelmed, but that's only because the expectation was so high. In my view, I think I get that he's made mistakes and stuff, but so have all the rookies. It's just most of the rookies have made mistakes in the midfield where they're not under the spotlight. So there's been plenty of silly mistakes that Hadjar and Bortoleto have made, and it's just no one's watching it, no one cares. It just or they're not as consequential. It's just. Yeah.
Anyway, George has no off weekends, isn't it? That's
the other issue. Yeah, that is the other issue.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Red Robin 1122. Do you think Red Bull will continue to use hyper aggressive strategies, since no matter what they will finish P4 in constructors?
Yeah, I think they will. They've got literally nothing to lose, because
I think it's horses for courses as well, right? Because here you could, in other races you couldn't.
They were gambling if there'd be rain, So
plus also they had the Racing Bull behind them. If it wasn't a Racing Bull, if it was Ferrari, then Charles would have found it easier to overtake Max, because one was on a softer tire which was degrading and one was on the medium. But yeah, understandable.
Red Bull, I've always done this. They've always taken gambles like this when,
they at the end of the day, strategically brilliant. Right.
They're P4. They're not going to get to P3 by the looks of it unless Tsunoda really turns things around. And they're not going to go to P5 because Williams is way too far back. So why not gamble? What they want to do is try and get Max on the podium or winning. So why not just gamble? What do you have to lose? Max doesn't care if he finishes P4 or P6. He wants to go for a P3 or a P1 or a P2.
Pretty much.
Why not gamble?
Yeah.
I don't see the problem.
Yeah. Okay. What is operationally happening at Ferrari? What is operationally happening at Ferrari is a question that has been asked since 2009, when they put Kimi Raikkonen, by the way, out on full wets on a dry track in Malaysia. Yeah. Anyways, what is happening to Ferrari to cover an undercut in a track where you need 1 second a lap advantage to overtake? It was a good call. I'd say it was a good call. He's talking about the two, you can say, what was it? The two undercuts that Charles triggered. If Lewis had not crashed, if Kimi had not crashed into Charles, Charles would have been on the podium. I think so. There was
I just think it's
large probability.
typical. It's typical of Ferrari that they can't even fucking orchestrate a crash gate correctly. That's smart.
That's the best tweet, by the way, by Peter.
Oh yeah. Yeah, crazy.
He said
Absolutely crazy.
they can't even enact a crash gate properly. Yeah.
It's insane.
So thoughts on Hamilton having the longest podium streak,
Longest lack
streak,
of podium. Yeah.
of any Ferrari driver ever. I think it's 19 races. It's not 15.
yeah, we can find
The
out.
Formula One races guy, Jaden, is incorrect. Yeah, it's
Okay.
19 races. So he's still got 4 races before he breaks and adds another feather to the cap. Okay, next.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, Dane Lua. So this is Beerman's best race in my opinion. He went from pit lane to P6. Alex Albon also, who started P15, finished P5. Wow, just wow. Yeah, they both made. I think they made tremendous progress. Yeah. Okay, next.
Yeah.
Ahmed Fabli. This is another one for Beerman. This is probably Beerman's best race. Went from last to P6. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was good. I think he
Yeah,
also got a bit lucky with the safety car timing. But again, this race had a lot of that.
hmm
Next up, we have. I just realized this is Piastri's first Grand Slam. Yeah, which is actually interesting because FP1, FP2, FP3, it was Lando on top. Sorry, FP1, FP2, FP3, Q1, Q2. Lando was on pole. Yeah. Okay, so Dane Lua. I didn't see Hamilton crash. Was it by his own mistake? Was there a problem with the car, or was it because the medium tire running out of grip? Neither. It was just an error. Given how we have so many midfield drivers in the recent era, like the likes of Sainz, yeah. I am till this day, till this day, I feel that Marcus Ericsson could not. Oh God, there are so many words. There's no grammatical correctness here. Jesus. Okay, so what he's saying is there are so many brilliant midfield drivers right now. He's talking about Marcus Ericsson, who was quite underrated, and I think he won the Indy 500 as well. Then he's talking about how Stoffel Van Doon didn't get a chance, Antonio Giovinazzi didn't get a chance. I mean, Giovinazzi got a few years with the team. Pastor Maldonado and Magnussen. Okay, so the thing is, at the time there were a lot of pay drivers. Ericsson was also a pay driver, so yeah, that played a role. Other than that, they were good drivers. I won't say that they were the best on the grid. Final. Yara days. Why is Stroll favored over Alonso every time when there is a pit window with big gains? It's a complete waste of opportunity in my opinion. You're correct, but I don't think this was a case of Stroll being favored. It was more a case of Alonso having shit luck on both occasions.
Yeah. Because Alonso was like, there was a lot of just DRS trains and traffic going about where you couldn't pass, and Alonso tried to undercut twice and got fucked by the safety car twice. By the way, I was just checking. It was Didier Pironi with 19 podiums in 1981 to 1982.
19 podiums or 19
races, 19
before
races
the podium?
before a podium, sorry. So he debuted in 1981, but his first podium came at
There
the
are 5 more
1982
races
San
left.
Marino Grand Prix. Yeah, so 19 races in total. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. 4 races left.
Yep.
What? Yeah. Okay. So was Antonelli pressured to perform today, or is this inexperience showing up? Just an error. He
Yeah.
thought there was an opportunity and he went for it. Made an error. Happens.
The talk is just that, not that he was pressured, but the talk has just been that basically Mercedes are essentially saying, look, just go for it. So he's now kind of pushing harder not because he's being forced to, but because he's like, okay, well, I'm not being told to slow down and not crash. It's like, go for it. And if you make mistakes, you make mistakes. Let's just, try and unlock that raw talent again. And that's fine,
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I think the final part from it. What makes that McLaren have such a big advantage over Red Bull at Zandvoort? They had similar advantage last year as well. What makes that McLaren so good? Jason?
Tire management mainly, but that was last year. I think they were just better on the tires in general. So like as the laps counted down, they weren't wearing nearly as much as the Red Bull. Also, this year it's different because essentially there's certain areas where Red Bull are better in terms of like aero efficiency, so high speed corners. Red Bull are better. In the areas where they don't have to raise the ride height at all, Ferrari are brilliant, and Mercedes are randomly good. But McLaren are just good everywhere. And the thing is as well, McLaren are just the class of the field now generally. So apart from some specific tracks, this is just what it's going to be like for McLaren because no one else is bringing upgrades anymore. And McLaren are still bringing some slight upgrades and learning setups and getting the car to be better where no one else is. So this is just going to be, I think this is just going to be par for the course now, whereas there's going to be some races where like Ferrari or Red Bull or Mercedes will get it right and be fighting for the win. But generally speaking, McLaren's just going to be the fastest car now. That's just that. They just have the fastest car. So I think last year's a little bit different. Last year was tire management and I think also just Norris was just spectacular last year at this track as well. Because remember, Piastri was P4 as well. So it's not like the McLaren was just out and out fastest last year. Norris just got his head down, and then Red Bull were hit with tire degradation, and Norris seemed to be able to just keep pumping in laps, and his tires just never fell off, basically.
To add to it. So, Max kind of touched on it, and I think Andrea Stella also corroborated it. It seems that tracks like the one here in Zandvoort and in Hungary, they have these long corners with medium speed range. So McLaren is not the best when it comes to ultra fast sections of a track. That's where Red Bull tends to have the advantage, and to an extent Mercedes also.
Mm-hmm.
Then when it comes to the slower speed sections, that's where Ferrari tends to have a decent advantage. And also when the cars hit the curbs hard, that's where Ferrari has its core advantage. That's why it did well at tracks like Monaco, Hungary to a certain extent. Where McLaren has its best advantages in the medium speed long corners. So almost every track on the in the calendar has these sections. So that's where McLaren tends to make its most, you can say, the biggest gains that it makes. It's in these particular sections. So when you listen to what Max is saying, Max specifically talked about the particular section from 9 to 11, which is the long corner. That's where McLaren was pulling the advantage. And again, there will be tracks where these won't be there. But even in those particular areas where McLaren tends to have an advantage, it is much better on traction because it keeps the rear tires in the window.
Yeah.
Roughly, that is the thing.
Yeah.
Even you can say even last season it helped them in both Hungary and I think even Singapore as well. It's these long medium speed sections, that's where it is probably the best, and that's where Ferrari struggles the most to a certain extent, even Red Bull as well. So just to sum
Makes
it up.
sense. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so this is done. Next up we have the Italian
Monza.
Grand Prix.
Yeah.
What's the pecking order that you expect?
I think the thing is, like, as much as I think Ferrari should be there, I think it's going to be McLaren again. The problem is McLaren haven't been the best in like just straight line speed, but they seem to be good everywhere else. And I think they'll be able to just take the wing off and should be efficient. So I'm going to say McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes. I'm not sure about Mercedes. Neither are Mercedes, but I'm not sure about Mercedes. And I think Red Bull should be pretty good in a straight line. I'm going to say McLaren, Ferrari, and then Red Bull and Mercedes.
Yeah.
But
I'm a bit skeptical about Red Bull because remember last season they kind of revealed that they didn't have a low downforce rear wing, and the kind of wing that we've seen at Spa, they might use the same one here, which is a low DFs wing, but it is not as flat as what we see in Monza. So let's see
Yeah.
what happens with them. I think we might have an order where it is McLaren is going to be at the front, second is Ferrari, third is Mercedes, and fourth is Red Bull. I think this is going to be a shitty one for Red Bull. I also
Yeah.
won't be surprised if Williams is fast. They tend to do well on low downforce tracks. Other than these guys, I'm not entirely sure how the midfield works because Aston Martin is going to suck when it comes to low downforce
Yeah, it's gonna be awful.
tracks. Yeah.
Williams should be good.
Alpine will be at the back. So Alpine and Aston Martin are the two teams that are right at the back. I'm not sure how good Racing Bulls is going to be, or Sauber for that matter, or Haas. It's probably going to be those four teams just rotating amongst each other. In the top four, I'm not sure how the McLaren versus Ferrari thing is going to go. Because Charles is going to throw the kitchen sink at this race, isn't it? He's just going to throw caution to the wind and
I
see
think
what
Ferrari
happens.
should be closest to McLaren this weekend.
Yeah.
The question is how close.
How close
You know,
is the one,
yeah.
right? Yeah. So, what do you expect the top three to be?
I think Oscar's going to win it. I think he's going to go on a run now. I think he's, that doesn't surprise me. See, I think Lando will come back and do well. I just don't think Lando's going to win the race. So I think it's going to be Oscar, Lando, and then Charles. I think Charles will be P3. I genuinely, if we come away from the weekend and we're talking on the podcast and Charles has won the race, I won't be that surprised either. I'm just not sure about the Ferrari.
Neither are they. Same here, by the way. I think I'm going with Lando this time around. I think he's going to be a bit more motivated, and even Oscar is going to be a bit more cautious to a certain extent. He won't.
'Cause he's
He's
got the
very
lead now.
calculated when it comes to
Yeah.
that. Plus, he also has someone like Mark who's sitting right next to him, and someone who knows that a championship lead could be lost. he led
Just
the
by a
2010
single
championship for the most
mistake.
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'll be there in his ear and telling you what to and what not to do. I'm going with Lando, Oscar, and Charles. Because what's going to happen is one of the limiting factors on this track is going to be the rear tires, and McLaren's biggest strength this season is the rear tire. The way they continue to churn more and more out of it, that's just that strength is not going anywhere. And that's why I struggle to see Ferrari challenging them. But if they do, amazing.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Well, I think Charles will. Lewis is unfortunately, regardless of what Lewis has done now, he's basically going to end up circulating in traffic, I think, because
that's the problem, isn't it?
yeah, because it's
I'm
a
still
5-place
not
grid
entirely
drop,
sure
so
what
it's
that grid drop is for. I couldn't understand. I mean, I went through the document.
number
but
2
the
Ferrari
incident
tax,
is
I
not
think.
mentioned.
You know.
Yeah. Anyways, we're done.
Cool.
I think we've covered everything. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Monza.
Don't forget to subscribe, etc., etc. Share the podcast, etc., etc.
Do the good thing. Do the good deed.
Just give us
care.
a better
Bye-bye.
year than Ferrari are having. Bye.